Hey fifth graders, Ms. Shames here, and we're going to dive into Module 7, Lesson 3 today, continuing our work with coordinate planes. So today's teaching point is that mathematicians name points using coordinate pairs and use the coordinate pairs to plot points. Those are the two main skills we're really thinking about: identifying a point's coordinates that are on a coordinate plane and plotting a point based on its coordinates. How are you going to know if you're successful today? What are you going to be able to do by the end of the lesson? So by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to identify the coordinate pair of a point on a coordinate plane. So that means if you see a point on a coordinate plane, you know how to tell its coordinate pair. We also want you to know how to plot a point on a coordinate plane given its coordinate pair. So if someone told you its coordinate pair, you'd be like, I know where to put that. And you're going to explain your mathematical thinking through writing, speaking, and drawing. And we want you to use our mathematical vocabulary. So let's get into that vocabulary. Here are the words that we want you practicing and using in today's math, and that you'll also see. So the words are coordinate, origin, x-axis, coordinate pair, perpendicular, and y-axis. All right, you guys, let's get into it.
Hey there, Zernstar. Let's keep working with coordinates. Let's construct a coordinate plane from this grid. First, we'll draw the x-axis. Use a ruler to draw a horizontal line that goes through point A. Label it x-axis here.
So go ahead and pause the video to draw the x-axis in your notes or in Desmos.
I'll draw a horizontal line that goes through point A like this and label it here. Now use a ruler to draw a y-axis that is perpendicular to the x-axis and goes through point B. Label it y-axis here.
So go ahead and pause the video to draw your y-axis either in Desmos or on your notes.
I'll draw the y-axis like this and label it here. Now we have a coordinate plane. I'll label 0 at the origin here. Your turn.
Go ahead and label the origin. Remember, the origin is the 0 on both the x and y axis where they meet. Go ahead and label it.
Let's label whole numbers on the x-axis. The length of one square on the grid represents 1/4 of a unit. We can count by fourths to label the whole numbers. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 1 whole. 1 1/4, 1 2/4, 1 3/4, 2. Keep going. Draw hash marks and label the rest of the whole numbers on the x-axis.
So pause the video to label your x-axis with whole numbers. Remember that each unit is counting by fourths. So you're going to want to count 1/4, 2/4. Remember, that's the same as 1/2, 3/4, and then the whole. Go ahead and continue labeling your x-axis. Pause the video if you need to.
I'll label the rest of the whole numbers on the x-axis like this. Check your work.
All right, check your work and make sure that it matches the instructors. So on every fourth tick mark should be the whole number because we're counting by fourths.
Now draw hash marks and label the whole numbers on the y-axis. Keep in mind the length of each square on the grid is 1/4 of a unit.
All right, you guys, do the same thing with the y-axis, count by fourths to label the whole numbers. You can use your x-axis as a model.
I'll label the whole numbers on the y-axis like this. Check your work.
Okay, so check your work and make sure it matches the instructors. You should have a whole number every 4 tick marks because we counted by fourths.
What is the coordinate pair for point A? Write it here. Remember that we write coordinate pairs by writing the x coordinate first, a comma, then the y coordinate. Go.
So turn and talk to a partner or type into the Zoom chat, what is the coordinate of point A right here?
Point A intersects the x-axis at a distance of 1 from the origin. So this point has an x-coordinate of 1. It has a y-coordinate of 0. Now, write the coordinate pair for point B.
Go ahead and turn and talk to a partner or type into the Zoom chat, what is the coordinate pair for point B?
Point B has an x-coordinate of 0. It intersects the y-axis at 4 1/4 units from the origin, so it has a y-coordinate of 4 1/4. Now, write the coordinate pairs for points C and D on your own.
All right. Go ahead and work with a partner. So turn and talk. Find the coordinates of points C and D. Go ahead and pause the video to work on that now.
Let's start with point C. If we follow the grid line down from C to the x-axis, it falls at a distance of 1 1/4 from the origin. So that's its x-coordinate. If we follow the grid line from C to the y-axis, we can see that it falls at a distance of 3 2/4, or 3 1/2 from the origin. That's its y-coordinate. So, point C is at 1 1/4, comma, 3 1/2. Now, let's look at point D. We can see that the x-coordinate for point D is 3, and the y-coordinate for point D is 2 3/4. So, the coordinate pair is 3, comma, 2 3/4. Check your work.
So go ahead and check your work and make sure that it matches the instructors. If there's any disagreements or if you got something differently, take some time as a class to talk about it. Do some error analysis. What mistake might have you made? We can learn from our mistakes.
Now, plot point E at 4, comma, 2 3/4.
All right, I'm going to demonstrate this one. So if I want to plot a point at 4, comma, 2 3/4, I'm going to remember that first coordinate is the x coordinate. So that's going to tell me how far along the x-axis to go. And then the second coordinate is the y-coordinate. So once I move along the x-axis, the y-coordinate is going to tell me the distance up from the x-axis. Okay, so let me go along the x-axis 4 points, so all the way to here. And now I want to go up 2 3/4. So I'm going to find my 2, and then I'll go an additional 3/4. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So the point is going to go right here, and I'm going to label it E.
Great work, Zerner. Wow, look at this coordinate plane. If point A is located at 1, 1, what is the value of this hash mark? Label this hash mark on the coordinate plane.
So let's think about this. So he's saying that this point is 1, 1. So that means right here must be the one hole tick mark. So we need to think about what this hole is divided into. How many parts are there? Try and talk to a partner or type into the Zoom chat. What's the one hole divided into? What fractional pieces? So we can see this one hole is divided into thirds, because if we counted, this would be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 make one whole. So we can label this tick mark 1/3. Yay.
We know the x-coordinate is 1. If we follow the grid line down from point A to the x-axis, it falls at a distance of 1 from the origin. There are 3 square lengths between the origin and 1, so the length of each square on the grid is 1/3. Now, label the first hash mark on the y-axis.
So I'm going to make sure that my y-axis is also in thirds, just to double check. So let's see, I know that this point must be one whole. So my whole is divided into 1, 2, 3 parts. Okay, so it is in thirds as well. So that first tick mark will be 1/3.
The y-coordinate is 1. There are 3 square grid lengths between the origin and 1, so this is 1/3. Now, label the rest of the hash marks on the x-axis and y-axis.
So which is labeled correctly? And remember that you want to make sure you're looking for the coordinate plane that's accurately counting by thirds. So go ahead and turn and talk to a partner or type into the Zoom chat which one is labeled correctly, A or B. Pause the video if you need to. So the correct answer is A, because if you notice, it's counting by thirds the whole time. This one goes 1/3, 1/2, 1. That doesn't make sense. You want to go 1/3, 2/3, 1 whole. So the correct answer is A. It's labeled correctly. Yay.
Now, plot points B and C on the coordinate plane.
Okay, I'm going to model labeling point B, and then you'll get some practice labeling point C. So point B is at 1 1/3, 0. So 1 1/3, remember, it tells me how far to move on the x-axis. So I'm going to go on the x-axis to 1 1/3. And then the y-coordinate is 0, so I'm actually not going to move up at all. The point will just be right here on the y-axis. On the x-axis. Go ahead and turn and talk to a partner to figure out where would point C be labeled. Remember that its x-coordinate is 1/3. And its y-coordinate is at 1 2/3. So plot it and talk about how you knew to plot it there. Pause the video if you need. So what you would need to do is go over 1/3 on the x-axis, and then you go up 1 2/3. So up to here, and then your point would go here. So check your work if that's where you plotted your point. Yay!
Point B is 1 1/3 units over on the x-axis and 0 units up. We can also say that its distance from the y-axis is 1 1/3, and its distance from the x-axis is 0. Point C is 1/3 of a unit over on the x-axis and 1 2/3 units up. We can also say that its distance from the y-axis is 1/3, and its distance from the x-axis is 1 2/3. Excellent work today, Zernstar. Cool.
All right, you guys, head over to Desmos or get to work in your packet to do some independent practice work. Great job today.